Now we are 6 minutes behind the schedule. Thank you for lively conversation. Save your questions for the end and mute yourself. And I'll do a 2-minute intro first. So thank you for joining us today. For those of you who are first time with us and wonder who we are, Serverless Toronto started 7+ years ago as a meeting place for function as a service developers. But during COVID, we migrated to online format. And over the time, we realized we could help businesses by working smarter, not by sprinting faster. And we started defining serverless not just as a tech stack, but as a pragmatic mindset, a way to focus on business value. So this broad definition of serverless allows us to explore various IT topics. Visit our YouTube channel to check out 7+ years of educational content. Much of it is still highly relevant. And if you have a topic or want to present, mention it in a survey at bit.ly/SLSTO. So for example, next month we'll cover generative AI security from the OWASP top 10 point of view. Our guest will be Steve Wilson. He's a OWASP Gen AI security project lead and the author of Developer's Playbook for Large Language Model Security book. The date isn't firmed up yet, but monitor the group for the announcement. And last but not least, big thank you to Manning Publications for supporting us as knowledge sponsor. They generously donate a title every meetup, but just yesterday, our community crossed 5,000 member line, and Manning sent us their congratulations via 10 coupons for you. So this means that 10% of you will be receiving free digital products since our Zoom limit is 100. So thank you, Manning. For those of you who don't win, Manning has provided 45% of code for any of their digital products. So scan the barcode and enjoy the saving. And before I pass mic to our guest, let me explain why this topic. So in my IT journey, I witnessed so much complexity, frameworks with too many parts, too much overhead. But every so often you run into something clean, simple, and powerful. Kieran's approach is one of the biggest aha moments in my IT career because in the last 4 months, I shipped more code than 2 years prior. And what you will see today is being called spec-driven development or context engineering, but what I see is a good old software development lifecycle, just AI-assisted. Because it's, number one, focused on clarity of what you want to build. Number two, good design documents and specs. Number three, test-driven development. So suddenly I can do a proper SDLC without the shortcuts. So I couldn't wait for Kieran to share his approach with all of you because it will make the outcomes of your work way better and your work days way more enjoyable. So Kieran, thank you for accepting my invitation to share your knowledge with our community. The floor is yours. Please take it away. Kieran, you're muted.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Thank you. There we go. So I was setting up. Thank you, Daniel, for the amazing intro. I heard someone saying they wake up very early in the morning, so excited to get their day started to code. Like that's me as well, like every day. And just the idea of a new model launching or like me getting early access to a model, like I'm like, okay, let's go. I skip everything and then go. So a little bit intro. I work with Every. This is Every.2. This is an interesting company because it's a company with writers, with builders and consultants. So we have all these aspects together. And we write about what we build, and we build about what we write about. And it's like a fun thing where we try to figure out what's next in AI. So if you are interested in AI, definitely check this out. And you can see these are the apps we built. And for example, Naveen, he's also working with Every. He launched Monologue this week, which is an app I use, which is a voice-to-text app that works very well with Claude Code. So I'll be using that. And what I do is I'm building Cora. So a little bit background on me, like I've been a serial entrepreneur. I always built businesses. I've been a VP of engineering and like Silicon Valley VC backed, hyper, whatever, to just bootstrap. I'm currently bootstrapping because I like that better at this point. But like I've led teams and done all the engineering things, 20 years engineering background. So I know normal engineering as well, which is actually really handy with AI. You'll be surprised. So what I'm building now, a year ago, I started building Cora, and Cora is basically you connect it to your Gmail account, and what it does, it just clears up your inbox and leaves everything that's important in your inbox, and everything that you don't need to see immediately, it archives in a brief. And this is a brief, so you can see, I can see, hey, there's like a wine shipment processing. I need to take action to change it. So I can just go through this and see what's happening here. And I can also ask questions to Assistant. Like I'm like, hey, what are my next podcasts coming up? So it will search my Gmail and I can like Assistant stuff. So and the funny part is Gmail sucks even with Gemini with this stuff. And this is actually really handy. So like another one that's really super handy is like, hey, can you gather all the expenses last week for my business trip and just send it to that person? Like it does that stuff also very nice. So this is what I'm building. And clearly I can build this alone. Like it's really cool because I built this app alone. We have 2,500 users now, which is insane. We have like the CPO of Anthropic, Mike Krieger, using this. We have Kevin Roos from the New York Times using. Like we have like people that are like are heroes for me are using this, and they say I love this app, which is really cool. And I'm building this alone. I have now another engineer, but I could do that because Solnet 3.5 launched. Like that was really the driver for this. This was a year ago, and while building this, I've been pushing myself to really find the best way to build. And I think like another accelerator is Composer in Cursor, for example, where you could suddenly edit multiple files or create multiple files. And then the step after that obviously was more of the agentic like Windsurf wave, where suddenly Windsurf enabled you to do things, but it was not context-based where you made a mega prompt, but it was like, give a task and it will figure out what it should do. And obviously Claude Code in February was the next step. And I think that unlocked us every time a new technology like that launched, it started me to think like, okay, but how can I utilize this better? Like how to rethink what I'm doing and how can I bring all my knowledge as an engineer with experience into this tool, and how can I like leverage my experience and everything I do in this tool so it can just do the work I wanted to do, which is like ship business value, not code, not fixing things. It's like what can you ship as features as business value. So I want to just show you like how that flow is. I'll kickstart some things here, and then I'll go explain what it actually is, because why not? So let's see. For example, here I have this invite friends to Cora. I have this idea. It would be cool to see the top 5 friends here. Like, who do you email most? So and then have a button that says email, and then it sends an email with an invite. So it's like more personalized. So you can invite a friend and it knows. So we have the information of email. So let me just see how this would work. I did it here already, but I will create a new session. So what I have slash commands that I start things with, and this one is a plan. So I always start with the plan, and you'll see that I use monologue here, and I'm going to explain what I want. So I need this path, which is where this is. So I'll just say, okay, you see here referrals. This is a website. What is a web page where you can share URL to invite people. What I want you to do is I want you to see my top 5 emailed, like people that I emailed and received emails from, the top 5. And I want to make specific links for them and a button that says to email them. And then I send them an email, an invitation email with the link to the app. So you can see I use voice to text because I love to brain dump vague ideas into here. And you can see I use monologue, and it's monologue is nice because it knows coding. So it will format it in code. So for example, if I say referrals index.html, is the page. So like normally voice to text shouldn't work, but like it knows like how to format this. So this is one of the things that's really cool. So what I will do is I will start this. And what this will do is it will start like a command. So the slash command is workflows plan. And it instructs it to do certain work. So this is basically spinning up subagents. So one is a repo research analyst. So it's going through history of the repository. And it's going to spin up a few of these. So I'll show you the command. So basically, what this command does is going to make a good spec. And I think specs are very important because if you start with garbage at the start, it will never get well. So like it's very important to start with like very good spec. But this is funny because this is what we've been doing our entire lives because no one would start coding on something with a bad spec. But like for some reason with AI, everyone is happy to copy without reading a spec and just let it go because so it's funny. So let's lean into this thing that we know. Also, like this is how I work. I want to say everyone should figure out how they work. Everyone is different. Everyone likes a different kind of plan that they are looking for. And this is just a framework you can apply. And also, the tool does not matter as long as it's agentic. Claude Code is the best at this point, still, I think, for general stuff. But I'll show you that I use Codex as well. So basically, what this does is like, hey, do these things. Make sure reference all the documents. Make sure to write it in like this system where I want to know who's involved. And one really good thing is like you have different kinds of shapes of work. So I like to categorize it in three things. One is like simple. It's a quick issue, which normally you can one shot with AI. More is like, okay, it's a little bit more involved, multiple pages, but it's not insane. And a lot is like, it's a big epic or it's like a very big feature. And it's good to separate these three out in these because they're requiring a little bit different analysis. So I have it do this, but I already have it, like it already did it before. So I'll just show you that as well. Let's see. Okay, so it's doing that. Let me go into the philosophy a little bit because it's not about the tools or my prompts or me sharing the mega prompt that will work for everyone because that's not interesting. Yeah, sure, this prompt might be working for me at this point, but you need to figure out what is working for you because that's where the excitement is. And everyone works differently. But I want to like this framework, how to think, I think is more interesting. So we've been inside we've been developing this and like we kind of call it compounding engineering. This is what I said at some point. And really what it is that every work you do, everything you do as a developer should make the next thing easier. So it's more about like investing a little bit of time in process, in a command, in an agent, in like articulating a workflow or improving something that the next time you do it, it's easier. Because if you keep doing that and if that is your mindset, you'll just like you'll go way faster because you will not make the same mistakes. The AI will not make the same mistakes. And that's great. and that's like science. So basically how I have it now is like there are 4 steps that are important. The first step is the plan step, which is the one we kicked off now. And this is basically spec. It's a spec. It can be technical, it can be not technical, like however you want to do a spec, but it should articulate like how the code should work. And for example, this is the spec that came out, the same prompt basically from yesterday. This is how I like it. So top email recommendation. So there's a problem statement and manual entry, blah, blah, blah. simple, so it will give like kind of an approach, which I like, where it says, hey, there's a service object, there's an action here, there's the view change, a simple mailer, routes. And it says, this is what we can do in phases. And phases is also handy because you can do TDD, where you can say, hey, actually, this is a good TDD approach, do phase 1, do TDD, but that's later. And this is also a great time to look at this and say, hey, like you as like more of the tech lead hat you put on and say, hey, what about a non-service object approach? Or what about we need to persist these in the database, these invitations somehow, like maybe, and then you can say like, hey, can you work through 3 options? And then you go collaborate with the AI and say, actually, I like that one best. So this is how I use the plan phase. The next one, which is actually the easiest, is the delegate phase. It's like it just does the work. And this is where we've traditionally used AI the most in Cursor, where you already know what to build or you have a spec and it just assists you to build. But in reality, if you have a good plan, the models are good enough now with Sonnet 4, Opus 4, and GPT-5 Codex. They're good enough that they can run for 30 minutes, an hour, and just finish the work as long as your spec is clear. So I would say invest more in the planning so you can automate the delegation. And the beauty of that is you can do parallel work as well. Like you can spin up 4 things with work trees. So let's see how that would look. So you can see I'm not using Claude, I'm using Codex. I think you should not get stuck in one tool. You should use more tools. Here as well. Yeah, so I think we should experiment with tools because there's not one right tool for people. Like Codex is very good at certain things and Claude is good at other things. I think Claude at this point is better as a general agent. Like it is more generalized. It makes sense because their models are general. And Codex is specifically trained for coding, GPT-5 Codex. So it's better at coding, backend coding, and it follows rules better without guardrails and a lot of things. But you're like, oh, but like this framework, isn't it / commands in Claude? Yeah, true, but it's just a file. So so I can just go to work, close, work. It reads a file. It works. So you can just say, read this, and can you pick up? And then I say, pick up this issue here. Pick up GitHub issue, blah, 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 blah. Use GitHub CLI. So now you have Codex working on an issue that Claude generated. And you can see here, it's like doing other research. So it's now doing 2 subagents best practices. So it's going to ground itself in the web search. So it will search the web like, hey, are there any best practices around this? Which is very good for grounding. Same for framework documentation. I use Context 7, also very good. Like use things to ground itself and check that it doesn't hallucinate. And I think just let it run for 30 minutes or whatever. Like you use the tokens here because the more information and research it does, the better. And the fun part with these sub agents is why to use them. They have their own context window, so you don't lose a lot of context window because you like basically this main agent will pass and say, hey, can you do some research about this? Then it does a lot of work and then it will return only the results, not the whole research. So it's very good for context like preservation because you don't want to overflood your context there. So that's why I use agents. So now I have Codex running here, but you could also say, let's Codex run one, and I want to also have Claude run in the other. Or I have actually 4 Claudes run the same plan to see if some do it better than others. Like I think for planning, that is more interesting because you get different versions. But for working, you kind of wanted to follow the plan. So At this point, I think Codex is very good at following a plan. So that's why I go with Codex now. So philosophy, delegating, doing the work. So the cool part is now you can get a coffee or you can go to sleep. Like I've had, we had a hackathon and we wrote a fun tool where we checked how long the longest session was that you've ever ran, which is kind of funny. And there was one where I had it run for like 7 hours or something like that. I was like, no way. And it was 7 hours actually, but like I remember it was like like whenever I went to bed, like it was a big test suite and I had a massive plan. I was like, let's see if this works. And I remember that when I woke up, it was done, but I didn't realize it was actually 7 hours. So it's possible to let it run for long. I don't know if it's good yet. I think the sweet spot is like 20, 30 minutes. I think that's where you get the most value if your plan is good. If it's longer than that, normally there's something wrong. Okay, so great. Okay, this is Monologue. Check it out. This is the great app. But then you have this, lots of pull requests. Because you have too many pull requests now, because it's very easy to create pull requests. Like, how do you get through this? Like, yeah, manual review, sure. But like, that's not compound. Compounding is you doing a manual review, distilling your style and your opinions, and making sure you never have to do it again and have it automate next. So that is this step. But assessment now, let's say I have this pull request. So we are here. This is funny because then our CEO of Every, he's just once in a while, he wants to see how good the compounding engineering practices are. And he just does like a feature for Cora. Like he's very busy, but he does features for Cora as well. And he uses the plan and all these steps. So that's one other thing. Like if you have these in your company embedded, like if someone improves it, everyone will improve as well. So that's another one. So he does this, and like we have automated workflows that will review, and you can set it up here. You can see Claude is reviewing here. Actually, we have Charlie as well as a bot, which I like. So we have all kinds of different bots that just review code, which is great. But you can also go here and say review, workflows review, and then I say pull request 900. And what it will do is it will create a work tree. I like to do work trees because that means I can have 10 different reviews at the same time. So just a Git work tree where it checks out in a different folder, so you can have parallel agents running. And then it says, hey, actually figure out which one of these sub agents you need to run, but run all of them that are actually relevant to this pull request. So you can see here, there's a Kieran Rails reviewer. I use Ruby on Rails. My name is Kieran. That's me. So I distill my opinions over time into this Rails reviewer sub agent, and that is automated. Like I don't do that myself. Claude looks through my comments in my pull request, and then it adds it to this. And why is this a sub agent and not in Claude MD or a command? Well, because if it's in Claude MD, it's adding to your context. I don't need this all the time. So that's the place where to go for a sub agent. If it's sometimes, but I want it more than once, sub agent. If it's like handing off work and then wanting a result, sub agent. If you need a full like conversation or full chain of thought, like a command is still the way. But I think of commands are more like workflows or like starters, and sub agents are like reusable exports or pieces or processes. So it could be like if you have copy changes, for example, in your views, you want a copy reviewer. if I write a change log, I also want a copy reviewer. So you can see different workflows can use the same subagents, which is really cool. And you can see they all run in parallel, which is another great thing. Like if you run these in series, it takes way too long. And these just run all at the same time, which is great. And DHH is like the creator of Rails, so I like to throw him as well, which is fun. And he's also very feisty in his opinions. Like you can have fun with these as well. History analyzer I really like to do because it will go through all the Git commits and understand where maybe bugs were introduced or things were missed. Like I think using and utilizing Git is like a superpower because that's what we as developers do. If there's something weird going on, we're like, oh, blame, let's see what like just do it always because why not? Architecture, because there's some architecture changes, security, performance, data integrity, and also the code simplicity reviewer. This is important for Claude because Claude makes things a little bit complex sometimes. So it's good to say, can you make it more simple? Can we make it more simple? Which is also a very good step. But this is where you can go wild with your own flows. You can have your own agents that is very specific. So if you have like Kubernetes something, make a Kubernetes specialist. Or if you have like a specific writing style, have like that, or like whatever you have in your workflow, you should add here, which is fun. Okay, well, this is done. And actually, it's not done. So this is one of the things where like Codex is a little bit less good than Claude. Like it does stop more. So it says next step. Like no, just keep going. Like there are ways for it to go, but keep going. I think it's because my working directory was not clean. But the idea is that you plan, you have work done, you review, and the last most important step really is the codify step, and I alluded to that already. But this is when you take like I like to do manual reviews as well. So just having other people, different perspectives, review here. And this is a command, like I have a command where I can read this all in. You can just GitHub CLI all of the comments in and say, hey, actually, like what can I learn from these comments? And Kieran Rails reviewer. And I have like if that's my comments, I want it to be added to the Kieran Rails reviewer. And like really capture the philosophy and give examples. Don't do too much, but do enough. Sorry. And yeah, that's where the loop comes. So like if you do this will be better, and you can have me review the plan as well. That's fun. Like it doesn't need to be a code review where I can use the Kieran reviewer. So sometimes I just say, hey Kieran, can you review this plan? And you can do that by saying here. So we have a plan here. Okay, this one is done. I said, Kieran, so what do you think of this plan? So obviously I can do this myself, but let's do this. So let's look at this plan. Is it so? Okay, so it goes with like JavaScript, and like yes, you can, but it can be more simple. Is going for UI components, which is also good. So you can see like this is a different plan than the other plan, and that is the beauty. It's not it's not deterministic, and that is the strength. But you should understand that maybe the first time you run a query, it's not good, and the second time it is good. So it changes. So that's the interesting part there. Let's see. So yeah, let's see this. Let's do the qualify command. I'll show you that, and then I would love to do some Q&A because I'm sure people have questions. Okay, I like this, but I want to simplify it way more. Zip. And then, so if I had comments or if it knows what I liked or not liked, I can say, I've called agent feedback qualifier. So this is an agent. Why agent here? Because like it's an additional thing where I don't need it in the context. So I can say, hey, actually qualify the things I learned at this point. And then it's instructed to figure out whether it's my comment or someone else or general. So it can edit the Claude MD, it can edit my agent. And the beauty is it's all files, so you can do whatever you want, and you should build your own. And when to start an agent, whenever you do something and you think, I might do that thing again tomorrow, create an agent for it. If you feel like, oh yeah, like a bigger prompt is better, but I'm too lazy to do it every time, probably you need a slash command. But you can also start with the one I have, and I can share all of these with everyone after. You can start this as a starting point or just understand what I do, and then make it your own. Yeah, and I like doing things in parallel as well. Like there are days where that is very exciting and it works very well. There are days where I'm like, oh, this like today is not the day and everything is crap, especially when Claude was having issues. Like I was like 2 weeks ago, I was also a day where I was like, okay, just open cursor and go manually code things, which is also fine. And we're very early, so like that is also fine. But I think I'm almost certain that 90% of code now is written that I do is written by AI. But the beauty is like I've reviewed everything and I reviewed the plan and I know I would have written it like that. It's just the act of typing is not anymore what I do. Cool. One last thing. This repo here is called the Every-Env. I'm building it now. We're going to open source it, but the idea is that you can initialize it in your repo and you have these commands and you can use whatever agent you want. So it's agent agnostic. So you can use AMP, Codex, whatever you want. Working on this, and we'll open source it whenever it's ready. So yeah, that will come. I can share the prompts and the commands with Daniel, so we can share it out to everyone as well later. Would love to hear any questions on this. It's a lot, but also it's more of a philosophy. So I would love to hear any responses, or we can do Q&A.
Thank you. So you finished the main presentation. Thank you. So you over-delivered. Like I would be happy if you just repeated what you taught 3 months ago. So thank you so much. I'll open the floor to your questions. With mine, maybe I can start first for people to warm up. For the review command, like you have so many of them. What is your process of creating those? Like you don't have to go into secret sauce, but I just asked Claude to print me its review command. It wouldn't. And then reading the one that's automated is not easy. So teach us how we could do it our own style, for instance, or the style of their favorite guru.
I mean, no guru. So really, like, I would say model how you would review things because you know how you like to review things and you are good at that. Or like what you learn or what you're not good at. But like think of it in like traditional engineering. Like who would you ask to review? Like if it's very security heavy, you would probably ask someone on the team that's like specialized in security. So you want like that kind of perspective. What I do is I let Claude decide what it thinks is relevant for the pull request to review for. And that's kind of cool because like you don't need the same review on everything, similar to the plan. Like if it's a very easy feature, you don't want to like plan for 30 minutes. It's just like remove the line, that's it. And you don't need a big review about the style if it's just a bug fix where you fix the typo. So like utilize the model to route and like actually get the agents that you need. Lean into that and how does that work? Because I say these are available. Like it knows everything. So here in agents, I have a bunch of agents. Like when does it know how to use it? Well, the description. So the description is shared before you start Claude, and the description will be used to either initialize this or not. So you can say, hey, if a user wants a review from DHH, do this. And if they want a very critical analysis, use DHH. So you can instruct or steer the model in the description, but you can also steer it here where you're in the command say, hey, actually, reminder, these are kind of the ones you want to call. So these are the two ways you can steer towards this. Yeah.
So you didn't have to go and research the actual style. AI knows how somebody thinks. Like it's not like talk like a pirate, so it quacks that way. It really thinks like that person. Did you have to scrape the knowledge into the knowledge base?
No, if you just go to agents, so let me stop this and say agent. It's really easy to create agents, because agents, you can just say create agents. You say project agents, generate with Claude. You can say create an agent that is a serverless architecture expert. Well, it's generating the agent. You don't need to do anything. So it uses Claude to generate the knowledge. And normally I go in to see if it's actually the right knowledge. But like if it's generally available, like this is good knowledge. And you can also share a URL and say, actually, this is the style, or you can manually do it. But it's very easy to create agents. So yeah, I'll let this run and show you what it comes up with. But that's how to do agents.
That's amazing. That's like when I was learning PRDs, like it takes days to learn about PRDs, and you just prompt it, write me comprehensive PRD, and it does it. Wow.
There it is. Yeah, well, so here we have the serverless. Let's see. All right, here, enter. There we go. So it should be here now. Yeah, there you go. Serverless architect. So you are a lead serverless architect, expert, deep expertise, et cetera, et cetera. So like it's pretty easy, and just use this and see if it works or not, and tweak it and play. Like whenever you think like, hey, I need someone like this or something like this, just talk to Claude, create the agent, see what the agent does, and
then
it's amazing. Yeah.
Amazing. John, you're without job. I'm kidding. And the last question, like I'm still living in the past. So when I invited you, I'm still doing what you did before with some tweaks to it. But you know, using multiple backends like codecs, like I remember that the industry has agent.md foundation because like they don't want to use Claude MD style. How do we make it repurpose useful, like reusable across different backends, different AIs?
So the issue is that only Claude has sub-agents, or like a good version of sub-agents. I think Cursor Agent is the other one that has kind of a hacky version of sub-agents. So I'm waiting for everyone to get that, but we'll get there. So if that is there, so if the infrastructure is there, like technically it should work. But the models work a little bit different. So I like to separate multi-agents out and like, let's do planning with one, or let's have a review by another one over the plan. So like I like to work with them in these steps, but then like one of these reviews the other. Or have a work done by 3 agents and just see which one I like the best and then go with there. Or you run it 4 times. You can do that in Codex as well. For example, go to Codex. You can give it a plan here. You can give it a plan and you say run for 4 versions. So it's like built in there as well, which is kind of cool. So yeah, that's how I do. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, like you can also pick one. Like you don't need to do multi. I'm just very curious in everything, and I just want to try everything. But you don't need to use Muller. But like if you want to experiment to see what the strength of a model is, use another one.
Perfect. Thank you. So I thought this is going to be a gift to our members. You gave me lots of homework to catch up as well. So thank you. Let's go through the raised questions. Ralph, you were first.
Yeah, again, awesome stuff. So thank you. I appreciate it. My two comments here. I feel every time I go in a webinar that it's like I'm reading a book of 20 chapters and I'm vaulted to chapter 15. So it'd be interesting to kind of know the beginning stages, right? So you give me a lot of great info, but it's to me a little overwhelming and kind of confusing. And to get there in pieces with a use case would be awesome. And to give you kind of an example, it's like I look through some of these the MD files. Some are have different formatting, right? The pound sign, then there's HTML in there, then there's a task list, then you have thinking. They all kind of mean different things. I'm trying to figure out how to catch up because, I have to now decide how to spend my time, move my product forward, and hopefully get rich and sip margaritas in Mexico, or try to do what you're talking about, which, uh, to learn this in a better way, so I can then, instead of 5 times, do things 5 times better, do 10 times and 20 times. So, again, now I have to get up at 3 in the morning, not 4 in the morning.
Yeah, I get it. So like I for sure like am on the edge of like exploring what we do, and that's what I'm sharing. So like I don't expect anyone to do exactly the same. Like everyone should make their own version of this. Like that means for you, maybe you have one agent that you create today that you use in your workflow tomorrow, and that you can learn something from, or that you create a slash command. Like do little steps. Like I've not done this overnight. I've been doing this like for since GPT-3, which is like more than 3 years ago already. So like that is a while. Um, and, and like this is just more meant for inspiration. And I understand it's very advanced, but if you want to learn more, go read go follow me on Twitter and go
Definitely.
deep and
Already
just
done.
like because it will take time to make it your own and really internalize this. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm also not saying this is the way to do it. This is just the way I do it and that I find helpful and what I learned by years of doing this. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for spending your time and explaining. Appreciate it.
Yusuf, you go next.
Thank you. Thank you, Kieran. It was wonderful listening to you. My question is, as I mentioned in the beginning, I've been using these tools a lot, right? In the beginning, it's always better to have a very structured articulation of your problem, the way you are doing by planning, specifying everything, right? So my major challenge, what I'm facing today is I specified everything very clearly, right? But then when I start the implementation plan, how do I make sure that my model understand the current context? Because if it doesn't understand the current context, then it relies on just sending everything as a prompt and assuming that model will understand what was the specification, what was done, what is left, right? So it keeps on it goes in that loop. So what I'm trying to understand here is, if you have tried this, what would be the better option? Is this the better option, or the other way I was thinking, that maybe create a static workflow where you define every stage as a software developer or project manager, product manager, and then make the AI do specific tasks independently rather doing everything end to end. So this is where I'm struggling, and maybe I would love to
Hmm.
thoughts on this.
Yeah. So I think so. My plan will never be like a mega plan, just go with it. My plan always, so I have a step where it grounds itself in the current code base. So it will know about the current code base because that's literally in the plan. The plan should include what the current code base is, what is relevant, what are patterns we use, and I have them underneath always as references. Let's see.
But question is,
Uh,
how do the model knows about your plan exactly? Is it just the prompt, or something which is very uh which model has to?
oh, the model knows about you because if you say to Claude Code, look through my code, it will look through your code. That's the
Basically, you
beauty
are
of
relying, you
agentic.
are relying.
Yeah, agentic development. That's the beauty of it. Like it will go through your code and it has access to all your code. So if you say, make sure that everything is related and grounded in my current implementation and look for patterns that I already have, it will do way better. And you can do that in the planning phase, you can do that in the work phase, but like I would encourage you just say to it like before you do anything, look through my current code base and see if there are any patterns that are applicable. And this is what these agents do in my planning phase. They go look for best practices in general in my code base and other places. So I think that's very important because it can learn a lot from your code. Also, Codex is very good at this. That's what it's trained to do. So try Codex. It might work better for you than Claude Code because Codex specifically excels in following code styles in your own code. That's what I was told by OpenAI last week.
Thank you. Thank you, Kieran.
Ravi, you go next. Ravi, I see your hand.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel, for setting this up. Kieran, I look at your tweets like a hawk. I read your blog posts, and thank you for the session. The couple of things I have about this is how do you think about managing the complexity from two perspectives? One is, of course, in terms of actually building the code base so that the complexity is manageable. The second thing is when you've hit bugs in production and you have users going on. Obviously, you want it in such a way that you want to fix it later. I understand that you might use AI. You will be using AI even for that, but that's one part of the question. Second thing is you specifically alluded to this thing wherein you want one LLM to review another LLM. This is one of the things I was thinking about. How are you sort of executing that? This is why I was looking at open code recently to see if I can mix the APIs and then do that. If there is some other way you're doing it, I think you're using Git work trees, but then each feature itself will need multiple Git work trees. I'm just thinking, what's a good way to do?
I think it's it's definitely one of the most interesting things. I think the most important thing is that you understand the model first, because you need to understand the tool, which can be Claude Code, it can be Codex. I think the most important thing is that you understand how to steer it and what it is good at before you start doing anything else. I know it's interesting to have it review, and I have Codex review code, but it's that's definitely more in the future than actually useful today. It's more of I really want to explore it, but the value lies in really understanding just how to use the models for what you want to do. But yeah, I agree. It's interesting, and once you know what a model is good at, then you can maybe say, hey, actually, I have this type of work. Maybe I should use Codex for it. Or I have this type of work. Maybe I should use Claude for it. I think there is where it starts to first get interesting. And definitely in exploratory phase, give it to all models, see how they're different. But that's more of experimentation. If I'm okay, I need to get something shipped, I'm not doing that. That's more I'm very curious to see what the new model does or how it works. Yeah. If that makes sense, yeah.
TP,
The
you go
second
next.
part.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
The other thing I was asking you was about managing the complexity and fixing the bugs on this thing so that, quickly,
Yeah.
so that we don't worry about it.
Just be a good developer, however you do it. If you use Claude, just don't fix bugs, use the model to debug. It's very good at reading logs and knows a lot of things that I don't know. So use it as a very smart colleague. And yeah, I have an MCP for AppSignal, which is I store all my errors and logs in there. So I just add the MCP and say, yo, there's something weird going on in production. This is it. Okay, you look. Well, it just looks through the logs and sees what's up. And that's normally painful as a developer, but a LM is very good at doing that. So it can be very useful. And then to fix it, however you want to fix it. I think nothing changes in or the only thing that changes now is that it's very cheap to do things again or just close a pull request. Because in the past, if you work 2 weeks on a pull request, you feel kind of bad closing it. But now if it's just an agent that does it and you're thinking this is actually crap, just close it. So don't be afraid of deleting code and doing code again, because it's very easy to do it again. But yeah.
What are the other MCPs you use, Kieran? I'm not going to ask any more questions.
Yeah. The Context 7, I really love. That's the other one I would definitely add.
Cool. TP, you next.
Okay. Let's see. I think I answered one of my questions while I was waiting for you. I was just wanting to know. No, God, I think I already figured those out. So just move on. Thanks.
Bruce, you're next.
Yeah, thank you. Is in terms of like the Claude code commands and initiating them, getting them to work, is there an appropriate way or optimal way to initiate the Claude code commands, particularly the ones that Every has shared during the Claude code camps 1 and 2? I've had mixed experience with getting them to work, so I'm not sure. Perhaps I'm initiating them incorrectly. As an example, like the create GitHub issue command is one of the more complex commands. In choosing like the minimal standard or more detailed issue of those 3 options within that command. Could you speak a little bit like tactically what that process looks like of creating an issue and using the commands to create an issue?
Yeah, so like I use issues for like the PRDs or the research, but you could use markdown files, like whatever you use. So like I like to use GitHub because I'm old school. GitHub is old school and it integrates with something I already know and already have. So I love that. Like you can create issues and then an engineer can pick it up, or an engineer can create an issue and an AI can pick it up. So I like that interchangeability there. But you could just say like, hey, can you just present the plan to me, and you don't and create a markdown file or present it here. So like if you are more comfortable not using GitHub, like don't use GitHub. Just remove GitHub there altogether, because that is just something I use. And that's what I mean by creating your own version. Like maybe create your own issue, or like plan. Like issue was the initial name, but currently I call plan. But like create a plan command by yourself and see like, hey, if it's like this, what do I get out of it? What don't I like about it? And then like, hey, how can I change? You can even say, hey, I don't like this plan. Can you improve this slash command so it's more like this and this and this? So you can have the AI write your slash command. And that's like the idea of compounding engineering, where you have a vision, like you have an opinion, or you are confused, or you have something that you want to change, and you feed that back to the AI and have it rewrite. So I would encourage you, create your own plan command and see how that goes from scratch, and try to get that loop going, because that's like, if you train that muscle, that's compounding engineering, if you can do that.
So it should be, in theory, as simple as, you develop your file with the command in it, slash whatever the command is, give it some
And then it
context
runs.
to run off of, and then it runs. So it's likely user error on my part. Bruce, experiment a little bit more, get more comfortable. For reference, I'm not a coder or a developer, but I've been using Claude over the last, well, a little bit before, right about the time Claude Code Camp 1 came out. And I have other math and finance knowledge background, and I'm applying the 2 disparate fields of knowledge to produce something in my spare time. So it's a steep learning curve, but it's been super rewarding. And whenever you like speak, I'm dialed in to 110, and I'm like, what is Kieran talking about? Because that is what I need to be focused on.
Same here.
Thank you.
But Kieran, you spoke about GitHub issues too lightly. That's, to me, it's one of the most important parts, because it's the memory of what happened, and stakeholders on project love it. It's full transparency into our work, my and AI work. So there is a way more behind that simple word. You are retro and you like GitHub.
Yes.
And the company I'm with is also using GitLab. It's not easy to train it from GitHub to GitLab. It's still not perfect, but Claude Code knows GH commands. All I need to do to install GH command line in my WSL terminal, and it goes for it. And then
Yeah.
I had to learn Kanban. As a developer, I normally am brought too late to the projects when the board is already existing. So my biggest obstacle for those starting here was to learn Kanban, learn GitHub issues, how to set it up, the templates. And I do have some open source repo I can provide you. So that was behind the scene, what I had to learn behind one your sentence of just use GitHub. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the GitHub MCP is also good, and also you can do GraphQL things in the GitHub CLI. So if you want to like have a very specific thing that is not baked in, you can use the GraphQL API. So those all good.
Perfect. Connor, you're next.
Hello there. Thank you very much, Kieran. That was very interesting, and I think I'm going to be using more subagents and experimenting more, as you say. And on that note, the question is, how much do you like hand adjust, type your change your like your agents files and your subagents and all this stuff as to versus versus getting AI to write it?
Yeah. I always start with AI to write it. It's great at doing a first pass, and you can use the Anthropic or the Claude console prompt designer if people know, but it's in the Anthropic console now called Claude console, or it's built in for the agents. So I always use that as a first step. I don't do manual writing there, but sometimes it's just a little bit too much, or it's not correct, and I just like to review and just delete and edit a little bit. It's less important than it was a year ago, like if your dots and things and commas and everything is correct. So don't worry too much about it. But normally generate with AI, edit myself, but iterating, I like to do with AI as well, where I say, hey, did this thing, can you like change it so it does more of that? Like I like that iteration with AI, I like to do as well. But if it's very clear, like deleting is very easy to do by hand, whereas like this is not relevant, this is incorrect, and just remove all of that.
Thank you very much. That's really handy. I'll think about using the AI to iterate. That's cool.
Cora, you have hand next. If you want. If not, we'll let Amit talk. Okay, Amit, you go ahead. Cora, whenever you're ready.
Hi, Kieran, thank you so much for this knowledge sharing. Excellent. I have two questions. One of them is, what advice would you give to a new team who wants to adopt agentic AI development? Is there a playbook or a recommendation which you can give so that the learning curve reduces? That's one. And the second question which I have is, could you do some experience sharing where you have experienced pain with agentic AI development, and how did you overcome that? For example, what I have heard in popular media is that there are issues with Cursor and with Claude, where they hallucinate and they produce pseudocode, or they call libraries which are non-existent, and it causes problems. So could you do some experience sharing there? Thank you.
Yeah, like I hear what you say. I'm just a single developer, and that's like where this comes from. But what is really important, like it like you should experiment. Like people should experiment, and if your like leadership is skeptical about AI, it will be hard. So find leadership that's very excited about AI. Step one. Find someone that does. So there are three aspects to it. You need someone that loves AI, and ideally that's like a CEO leader. Two, you need someone that is very good in operations, that knows how things work and all of that. And third, you need engineers that do it and know how to do it. And that could be one person, but you need those three elements normally in an organization to bring adoption. So start thinking about like, who are those people? Who is like the champion, the visionary in your company or in your team? Then who is the technical person that can do it? And who is the one that understands all the processes, like it being product or it being a process you need to optimize or like replace, or like it's important to have all of these pieces for actual adoption to come to a company. And it could be one person, but normally in a bigger company, there are different roles with different people for those. And I mean, Playbook, we have consultancy, so you can come to us to help your team. But there are many others that do that too. Yeah.
And if you can talk a little bit about your experience, right? The pain which you underwent, or is there a document or a blog which talks about what was the initial pain which you went through when you were using agentic AI? Talk a little bit about that. Could you share a little bit on that?
Yeah, on Every.2, I have a bunch of articles, and we all have a bunch of articles about all these things. So I would say go there, just search for compounding engineering, and you'll get there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Cora, you have hand raised. Do you want to talk?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Just making sure. Yeah. So I was gonna ask you about because I missed the first little bit of your talk here. I got in a half an hour late, and I think I missed the whole sub-agent process that you were presenting. So I was just gonna ask because you mentioned that you had it run for like 7 hours, and I have been doing vibe coding for a year, and I've done like lots of projects already, substantial, like huge in size, in my opinion. Like everybody you talk to is kind of shocked by it. So most of my prompts though are generating for about 20 minutes when I start a project. I was kind of curious what you are doing in a 7-hour process. If you get it to run for even more than 20 minutes, what it's able to do, is it creating a database? And if it is creating a database, like, is it able to know and update that database in a correct manner, like to have the format laid out properly? Because I've never had it once lay out a database properly. I've always had to go back, reorganize the tables and the headers. And like I'm building a social media website right now. And, I had to go back and reorganize the headers myself. And I'm just kind of curious in a 7-hour process, if you could even get the AI agent to know to do something like that and work on the database and update it, because I honestly have a lot of trouble with it changing the database constantly, like where it, creates the wrong command or all the different functions of the database that you need to set up. So I'm just kind of curious what you're getting out of a long prompt like that, or like a long process like that, and what the results are like, if it's getting close to completion, and is it like quality in terms of like the look and the functionality, or are you just getting the functionality only without the design styles?
Yeah, I think my sweet spot for agents running is like, I think 30 minutes. I don't think you get way more. Like if it's longer than that, it's just that it's stuck in a loop running tests most of the time.
Okay.
And also, like, I don't vibe code because I have a project that I built on. So for me, like, I do vibe code just for fun. But like for me, my day to day is like I have a project that thousands of people use that is already there. And like I need to either refactor or add new features or fix bugs. So it's a very different kind of setup. But what I can say for you feeling the frustration of it not doing the right thing, use like a starter pack. Because if you have a starter pack and curated by someone with taste and vision, it will ground the model very well into doing the right thing. So I would encourage you, like, find a starter pack for whatever framework you use, where payments is included, a database is set up, and all of that is done, because it will make the life of the LM way easier, because it's like, oh yeah, I already know what to use and how it should be structured and with taste. Because especially if you do JavaScript, TypeScript, like there are like a gazillion ways to do things. And I use Ruby on Rails, which is nice because there's just one way to do things mostly, because that's what DHH says. That's why it works well with Rails as well. But I would say pick a starter project. It will make your life way easier because it will have way more context and grounding into style and sense.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot. That's all I need. I'll have to research about the subagents thing, but yeah, you said 20 to 30 minutes, so I guess it's about what I'm doing already anyway. So
I think that's a sweet spot right now. Yes.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. There is that's one of my issues. I don't use Claude Code at all, but what do you call it? I know about it. There, I always up on the latest things, but what do you call it? There, I'm watching Codex 5 right now and seeing what people are saying, all the about what's the latest model that's working and so on there. But I kind of realized that the outlier type of coding models or coding IDEs seem to outperform the most common one, which are Windsurf and Cursor. And so I always tell people, like, if you're gonna start coding good, try to find the extensions of these rarer, lesser known, but are using Claude as a model. And you'll find that the performance is way better than Cursor or Windsurf. That's all I'd say right now.
Yeah, I don't use IDEs since February anymore, so I'm with you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Connor, you go next.
Hello. I'm doing another cheeky second question. I noticed that you had the like dangerously skip permissions thing enabled. Has it ever? I'm just a very like scaredy man when it comes to security and things, or it like deleting a database or whatever. Have you run into any trouble, or it's all been fine?
It's my development machine, so like what can go wrong? So no, I haven't had that, but don't do YOLO on production or any just think. Yeah, for sure, think. I have not seen it do anything ridiculous. And if you just use Git and it won't do weird things, but just be aware that there could be an attack. There could be prompt injection on point. And just make sure, what if I would type something here? Could I do something very bad? Well, if the answer is yes, make sure to patch that hole. Make sure to add another check. But to me, reduction of friction is the only way to go. So not running YOLO does not make any sense. Sure, people do it, but it's just babysitting. I rather just let it go and it's fine. But yeah, nothing bad happened done.
Cool. When you open source it, I'll try and prompt inject your new repo.
Great, love it.
Thanks.
And for those waiting for open sourcing, there is an older repo I pasted in the chat from Every, so you can go and check it out. And I do have some clones of your older work on open source, but it was just echoing the
Yeah,
original.
I will add
diverged.
I will add mine there, and it's changing every week. So I just want to capture it in a state where I'm like, this is it, and then yeah. Everyone, you can also try out Cora. I have a coupon for you, Toronto, for the first month off if you want to try it out.
Thank you. And that's interesting pricing model you have. So you don't get only the membership in the community where people learn, you get access to any of the 5 apps. And I'm not related at all to you. I'm just a consumer of your knowledge. And I'm waiting for Windows apps because most of your products are for Mac and I'm a Windows user. So please make monologue on Windows.
Yes.
Any other questions, or are we going to go for mining raffle soon? Anybody wants? Wow, so everybody knows everything. So we have a good homework. So let me
Thank you so much.
Don't go yet. So while I'm preparing coupons, everybody goes to manning.com webpage. Choose the product you like, any digital product, single product. I like the early access books. Place it in the shopping cart, and before you buy it, you will use the 100% off coupon. There is 10 coupons and 100 people on this call, so you have really good odds to get a free book. So do your part now, and I will look for the email from Manning. And then when I paste it, are you guys ready? Because it's going to be Hunger Games. There are 10 coupons, and I don't know which one's going to work, which one's not going to work. So 1, 2, 3, go. enjoyed compliments of mining. So thank you everybody for joining us and being part of this community. Kieran, I owe you. So I thought we were giving knowledge out to the rest of them, but now it's a huge homework for me as well. So thank you, and see
Thank
you
you.
next week in the next Claude Code Camp. It's this time next Friday. If you join Every community and their products, you will be able to learn more about Claude Code.
Thanks, Kieran. That was amazing.
Thank you.